I won't say it was a shock. I've worked on a prison film before, but we didn't have this kind of access. This kind of access was I mean, if you told me that was what we were going to end up with when I first found out about the project, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have thought that was impossible on many different levels. So whilst it was, you know, we were very aware and wary, and it wasn't a film set, it wasn't, you're not shooting out on the street, it's something very, very real, and you have to be very aware and very respectful of the environment that you're in, and the fact that it's a very, very particular environment. So it definitely helped, for sure, but it was certainly interesting. Oh, look, I thought the script was, I mean, it was obviously really challenging and on a lot of levels, not only as an actor, but just, you know, as a human being. The subject matter was extra challenging for me because, you know, we didn't get taught a lot of South African history growing up in Australia. So whilst I knew, you know, bare bones of different things, it was definitely a steep learning curve. There was a lot to learn, a lot to read, just to sort of get my head around the world before I even started to work on my character. You know, they really interesting bunch of guys. They start out quite shy, but the wall comes down quite rapidly, and they shared a lot. And you know, you would just listen and listen, and if you needed to take a break, you'd go for a walk and come back. And it was interesting. And you know, at those moments, you've got to realise that you're in a different space to what most people find themselves in, and it's a you know, again, it's one of the things I love about my job. The average person doesn't get put in those situations, and you just try and make the most of it. And for me and for my character, it was, you know, I was definitely cherry picking and trying to imbue a lot of that energy and that I guess mental side of things. So it was very helpful. Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of read that was going to be the case when I read the script, obviously, and those scenes are very long with a lot of dialogue. But I really enjoy, sometimes it's great to have no physical limitations, you know, to be able to move around. But I actually really like it when I've got restrictions that are imposed upon me. I like to try and work with that. And sometimes, instead of seeing it as a restriction, I like to see it as an opportunity. So you had to sort of tell yourself that whilst you were chained down, you were still able to move a little bit. But to be completely honest, it all became irrelevant the minute the camera was rolling, because you read the script and you read the script and you prepare, but you don't have the luxury of Forrest Whitaker sitting opposite you when you're at home reading a script. Thought I had a little bit of an advantage, actually, by being Australian, because I don't bring any of the baggage or any of the, I guess, sense of responsibility. I mean, I do as a human being, but I guess I've probably felt a certain freedom in exploring Blomfield that I think it would have been harder for me if I was South African. I would have battled with that more. And whilst I did have my battles anyway, I think it was somewhat of an advantage to be able to come in as an outsider. Both exciting and had its own challenges as well.
This is my fucking house. Down! My house. Down!
You know, the great documentaries and the great films, I think, to a certain degree, educate and make you feel. You know, they make you feel something. So hopefully we can learn something about the world, about ourselves, about fellow man, and we can be moved in ways that we like and in ways that make us feel uncomfortable. But I think the film does a pretty unique job of delivering a complete package, and I feel very confident that people won't feel too traumatised in the end.
So this has been a very long journey to get to this point, and to see it come to fruition is magical. To be in the heart of it, it's absolutely magical. So yeah, it was originally written as the Archbishop and the Antichrist, now the Forgiven. I have a great passion for history and the arts, and so it's an interest that's come to fruition. And to see the people welcome us so much and to be very, very involved in such a magical story has been brilliant. What an amazing cast, absolutely amazing. Yeah, they've been tremendous. Forrest has emulated Tutu remarkably, magnificently. He has become Tutu. I can't say anything else about it. It's miraculous what's come about with his acting. He has totally been in character throughout, and like I said, has been Tutu. Eric Banner, very, very strong character as well, and both of them, the synergy that was between them in acting has been incredible to watch also, as well as Jeff Gum and various other people, and also the local people that have been extras during the film. I think the message resonates on so many levels, the message of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a release of negative emotions, and I think that is where the heart of where many people are. So when I say resonance, it resonates from Tutu. His message of peace and forgiveness is very, very powerful. From the director Roland Joffe, who has tremendous abilities to resonate on all levels with real people on this raw level.
I think it's nice that there's a music to take that point really well. Yeah, and then the change to modern, that's good. Let's just do one more.
He's dealt with real people within the film, and it's been amazing to watch. It resonates to the general human emotion. I think that's a very, very powerful message to forgive and release negative emotion.
Tomorrow Boy is turning 20. I have candles to light. 20.
You should go home.
How can I pray for her?
I was employed as the Special Extras Coordinator, which is recruiting and casting the ex-offenders which take part in the prison part of the movie.
You see what's happening to him? That's also going to happen to you. You better be strong in here. This is your master, he sits in. Think about it.
Well, I'm an ex-offender myself. I spent 2.5 years in prison, and in that time I used it to just better myself. You know, whenever they came around saying, we're offering this and we're offering that, I just stuck my hand up and, you know, me. So, and I just took every opportunity that was just presented to me there. I sort of understand how ex-offenders' minds work. Not necessarily minds, but I know their characteristics and, you know. So, yeah, that was my part, and that's how I got involved in this movie. I contacted lots of organizations like NICRO, for example, Smiling One, which is a responsibility coaching. They do responsibility coaching for offenders. I contacted them, got some names, and also I brought in some of the guys that were already part of Help I'm Free, the drama group with me, and the years that followed. So I got into contact with them and I sort of called them in to come and cast. So yeah, and that was the process. There was a rehearsal process prior to shooting. For 2 weeks we had core groups of offenders that Roland chose, and that we sort of told him, like, look, this guy's good and that guy's good. And yeah, we saw little things that we liked, and we built up 2 core groups, mainly one group, one white offender group, ex-offender group, and one black and colored ex-offender group. And yeah, and we did rehearsals, and they got sort of training from Roland. And yeah, it was really lots of bonding. You know, what you get is a lot of people are scared, like, what did they do? that they went to prison, you know. But in that time, when you're in the process of this rehearsing, it's like there's a different feeling. Like you can leave your things around. Everyone trusted each other because we're here for a purpose, you know. And that's the thing, when you have a purpose, it's just, you know, all the bad things go out the window. So yeah, it was just really positive. And with like I said, my vision, not only to make society aware, you know, that the positive can come out of this, and also the potential, because society, they just shut them out. And as soon as they hear the word ex-offender, you know, it's like just they turn their backs and you see a different look on their faces. But yeah, here you can see in this movie, and the message that the movie brings across is that forgiveness is possible. And I'm so grateful to be part of this, because like this is my first movie that I've been a part of, and it's just so funny. I was saying today that it's just so funny that the name of the movie is The Forgiven, and that is something that I want from society. So I was thinking, like, is it a coincidence that I'm here, you know, wanting forgiveness? Yeah, and just that message, it means a lot.
My name is Ntobeko Mkechani. I'm the Area Commissioner of Pollsmoor Correctional Center. So having this Forgiven film taking place in Pollsmoor in particular, it's quite of an amazing, you know, experience, because I believe that most of the hostile, you know, circumstances of the past politically were happening behind the walls of the prison.
Well then, how are you feeling now? The fuck?
Things have changed. We are now releasing the spirit of hostility out of the prison by demonstrating this, film in the prison. We are kind of telling the story to say that these walls are no longer the walls where our people suffered and are being killed unnecessary for political reason. And it needs to be understood that the first negotiation, the first talks on democracy started right there in the center where this film was taking place. When Nelson Mandela was first talking to the former president of the previous regime, Mr. de Klerk, the talk started there in Maximum. And I still remember at that time, talks were not really in a public domain, but it were the secret talks that were taking place. And I want to believe that there was trust on both parties. But I think, let me just say that it's a blessing for us as a country to have the Forgiven film taking place within the correctional center.
Colonel, look at the faces of these families. They are your own people.
When people were locked up, our people were locked up without any trial. The system did as it wishes with people. Whether it's killing, whether it was a state of emergency, people will end up in prison. Some of them were ending up in prison without any trial. They will disappear within the system itself. People were killed. And that's a fact. And I think that's why this film also, Forgiven, is touching some of those fine lines of our history. So the offenders had, I believe, equally with correctional officials, they have some mixed feelings when they were looking back in their own history.
I really enjoyed working with you. It's been a great pleasure, and it's meant a lot to me. I've grown to really enjoy taking this journey with you, and you're all very special. And I think it's very special gift to me to be able to be here with you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.